Welcome to Senior Moments, the program where we discuss the good, the bad, and the utter ridiculous parts of aging. Today I have Nancy Giddens with me. She is our absolutely amazing head of our library system here in Calaveras County. Welcome, Nancy.
Thank you very much. Happy to be here.
Oh, good. So let's talk about the library. And I know there's a lot of kids programs, but I think what people aren't so well aware of is that you have a lot going on for adults too.
We do. Now, every month we have a craft at almost every site. And that's for adults, specifically for adults. We have a wonderful staff member, Maria, who has fabulous ideas and creates a craft project every month that kind of goes with the month, theme of the month. And so those are taking place all over the county in all the branch libraries. And so all you have to do is ask at your library branch, or you can go online to our webpage and you'll see that, and also our Facebook page.
Now, is that at a specific time, or can you just...
No, it's a class.
Okay.
It's a class where they learn a skill. This month they're doing macrame keychains.
Okay.
And so those of us who did that in the 70s can go back and remember our crafts of doing macrame things. So, yeah. So it's something that she plans that they can take home with them and decorate their home with or use. Yeah.
That is wonderful. And we did a podcast just, a week or two ago with the Amador Arts Council. Mm-hmm. And what we talked about there and what we learned is that no matter what you do that's creative,
yes,
it automatically sends your brain into a better spot emotionally. It's the process, it's not the end product that actually makes the changes, which I find fascinating.
Yes.
And the other thing I really find good is they talk about training your brain so that with anything that's creative, it helps the left and the right sides of your brain work better together. Mm-hmm. And it actually helps develop the brain itself. And so I think one of the best catchphrases that I ran across when I was looking up information was that creativity is training your brain to solve future problems.
Great.
And I just thought that was amazing.
It's wonderful, yeah. Because every skill we learn applies to many things that we do.
Absolutely. So
it is that. I mean, the emphasis is definitely that it's the process and not the end product, although they've come up with some pretty awesome end products, the things that I've seen. So
it's amazing what you can do when you take the boundaries away from your imagination.
There's a wonderful camaraderie in the group that comes. It's wonderful. In Angels Camp one month, someone from the adult education with COE brought a group of challenged adults who joined the group. Everyone just welcomed them. They helped each other. It was a wonderful experience for everyone to have time with adults in our county who do have special challenges. It was wonderful, great learning experience in many ways, on many levels.
Oh, I think that's incredible. And I do think that's something that we don't always think about. I know that I have had interactions with people that I've walked away from, and they've impacted my life in a huge way, and I'm sure those people never even had an inkling that they had impacted me in the way that they did. Mm-hmm. So it's a two-way street. It isn't just the non-challenged people helping the challenged people, but the non-challenged people are getting things from the challenged people that they probably never expected to get.
Exactly. They did. It was a wonderful, wonderful day.
And I said that really politically correct, didn't I?
That was great.
So let's talk about LinkedIn Learning. I have been using the LinkedIn Learning. I think it's fabulous.
Wonderful resource, yes. And we have many digital resources for adults. It's primarily for adults. This month we're getting also a tutoring it's going to be called K-12, but it's for adults also. So we have many, ways for people to learn. LinkedIn Learning is fabulous. It has fabulous lessons and life skills. Another is Skillshare, which is a more entrepreneurial kind of crafty app that if you register, there are classes in there like to learn to set up a web page, learn to all kinds of artistic things. I'm sending things to my daughter all the time because she has a library card, even though she lives in Washington, D.C. And I say, don't miss this one, Joanna, this is great. And then, of course, we have Coursera, which also offers courses. There's one that's particularly, if people feel challenged in the digital realm altogether, North Star Digital has basic tutorial classes in how to use a computer, how to use the internet, how to do all kinds of things. And then a very special one that I just love, and I don't know if you've used it at all, but if you scroll down through our webpage to the bottom of the page, there's a resource for seniors called Get Set Up. And Get Set Up is only for seniors. I don't know how they check this. They can't see your library card, but it's for seniors, and
Okay.
it's not a webinar. It's not just an instructional thing. It's a class.
Oh my goodness.
There's a teacher who is also a senior.
Okay.
So if he's teaching a computer skill, there's not all this, lingo that we have no idea what they're talking about. It's very basic. My husband took one last week on how to use his new iPad, and he said it was extremely helpful. And not only do you go to the class, but they follow up after the class and say, do you have any more questions? And they'll do chats with you and so forth. It's really phenomenal. And I went to a little group session on the creators of Get Set Up, and they said that all over the country, Get Set Up groups are forming outside of class because people make these connections, and then they say, hey, does anyone have time to get together for an additional talk about this? And so they set up a Zoom session and have, more. So it's super great for people who can't get out very much. You have an interactive, you can make friends in these groups, and they have nutrition, cooking, computer skills, art, language, the whole gamut. It's really a fantastic resource. And this K-12 learning thing is live tutoring. So you make the app aware of what you want to learn, and then you are set up with a person who will dialogue with you and help you. So if it's a computer skill, there's someone who will help you with that, just one-on-one until you feel comfortable with it. So these are fantastic resources. They're free to all of our users with a library card. Most of them do require a login, but library cards are free and they're easy to get, and everyone should have one because we have all of these wonderful resources.
Now, let me ask you this. How the last two sections that you talked about, it sounds like they're fairly interactive. And is that through a chat box or is it through like a Zoom interface?
It's a Zoom interface. The K-12, I'm sorry, I haven't used that personally, but it's a chat, but I believe there's also a personal interface with that person. With the tutor. But if you don't have access to a camera, for example,
Sure.
on a device, then it can just be verbal. But that's fantastic. And then I think a resource that maybe people don't know about, that we have they're digital resource apps that's on our catalog as well as on this resources page. Hoopla, and that has audiobooks, ebooks, movies, TV, even comic books if you're into that. And there you have 5 free views a month or 5 free books a month through Hoopla. It is a pay-by-use app, so we do have to limit it a little bit. But those are just fantastic. You can, and then they have, Hoopla has binge months. So if you catch on to a binge month, you could watch a whole TV series in that month.
Oh my goodness.
For just one use. So yeah, it's great. And then Canopy is the other. Canopy has more unusual things. It has a lot of indie films, first director films, which if you watch the Academy Awards this year, you saw there were a lot of those that won.
Uh-huh.
And it also has many, many documentaries that are just excellent, as well as the great courses. You can actually take a great course through this app, and if you've ever gotten, I'm sure you get those gigantic catalogs that we get in the mail, to buy them. We have some at the library that you can check out, but this you can do through this app, and you can sign up for a course and do the course for free through with your library card. It's an amazing thing. We've had people just take the most interesting classes. I went somewhere and I said, oh, maybe you, I know, I went to Regensburg, Germany, which is the oldest Renaissance, the most well-preserved Renaissance city in Germany. And I said, maybe you haven't heard of this. And she said, oh, no, I have. I did a great course on the great cities of Europe, and Regensburg was one of those. So, that's really, just anything that you want to learn, you can learn. So I wish people would look at that and take advantage of it, because it's an amazing service.
It is an amazing service. I'm just so impressed with our library. I can't give you enough praise, because I think that it's phenomenal. Our library system in this little county, it's just amazing to me that we have as much offered. And I love the classes. I got a Black Magic camera about a year ago, and I'm actually taking a class that talks, and I had never worked with a camera where I could take the lenses off or have f-stops or any of that stuff. So it's been a pretty steep learning curve for me.
Sure.
But I was able to go on LinkedIn, and I found a class on lenses and cameras, and it's like an introductory class. I've learned so much just through this one class that it is amazing.
I'm so glad to hear that.
And I didn't have to pay I used to get Lynda.com. I used to have a subscription to Lynda.com, and I stopped paying for it. And I'm getting every bit as good of information from LinkedIn Learning as I did from them, and I don't have to pay for it because I have my library card.
Excellent. Good work. Yeah. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I do have, I'm pleased with the way our county supports the library system. Some of us are officially called non-essential departments. I prefer to say non-mandated departments.
I agree.
Because I've never felt non-essential with the board. They're always so supportive and do everything that they can. But we are a small county with a very small amount of money for taxes. So I also am very, very blessed with fabulous Friends of the Library system in our county. Each branch has its own friends group, and then there's a county group with a representative from each of the branches and a couple of non-related members, at-large members. So they have been so generous with us. What do you need? We'll do it. So they've helped us move ahead in many, many ways. So those are great supports. And then, of course, we just have some people from the community who just donate, and it's amazing. They value the library, so we appreciate that. It helps.
Absolutely. And one of my favorite things that you have come up with over the last few years is the bookmobile.
Oh.
Because when I was in third grade, the Shawano, which is in Wisconsin where I grew up, we ran out of classrooms in the main elementary school, so they started using some of the old one-room schoolhouses. And I'd go to school, I'd get bussed out to this schoolhouse, and we had only one class in the room, which is atypical of what the typical one-room schoolhouse was all about. But one of my favorite memories is the bookmobile would come. Yeah. So once a week we'd get to, might have been once every 2 weeks, but we'd get to go into the bookmobile, and I'd find books, and oh my gosh, it was amazing.
We've had so much fun when we've been able to take it out. I have to confess we've had a bit of problem with our lift, which we got to be ADA compliant so that all of our citizens could have access. It also helps us, of course, to get the books in and out of the bookmobile and stock it. But that was our main purpose, was to give access. It's caused problems with the chassis battery, but I think now we have a solution.
Okay.
And so I'm very, very happy that as soon as this weather starts to improve, we'll be able to begin our service, which we are very much looking forward to, and would really appreciate any, for example, any of the senior residences that would like us to come and visit. We're so happy to do that. We don't have a set schedule. I don't have a dedicated staff person for this, but I do have several staff for whom, I have in my mind, these hours
Sure.
you can do that. As well as me. I like to drive it, so I'll probably be doing it too. We really want to serve the community. Our purpose in getting it was the underserved and serviced areas of our county. So, of course, we plan to go. We've already done a test in Railroad Flat. We'd like to take it to Mountain Ranch and be somewhere there so that people could access there. We will go to West Point once in a morning because in West Point we're at the school.
Okay.
Our county library is at the school, so we can't offer morning hours. So we are going to go up one morning a week for patrons who would prefer to visit the library in the morning. We'll also go down, hopefully 26, because the library is actually at Valley Springs Elementary.
Okay.
So we're hoping to set up a regular visit down that, maybe to Burson. I don't know. I mean, we're going to just do some things. We're really good at the library to test it, see how it works for a few months, and then if it doesn't work, then we do something else. But so we're very, very anxious for people to say, yes, we'd really love to have a monthly visit or whatever. So.
That would be amazing. And I hadn't actually thought about that, but you could go to the congregate site, the congregate dining site in Valley Springs, and I think there's still one in Burson. That would be really an added benefit for people that are going there for lunch, and then they could get a book or become familiar with the online stuff that you're offering, and maybe they don't know about it.
We will have Wi-Fi. We have a I never can remember what it's called. It's the same thing that the sheriff has in his vehicles that allows us to have Wi-Fi, wherever we go. So we'll have that. We'll have tablets or Chromebooks there so that people can at least look at things. Probably won't check those out because of the intermittent service.
Sure.
But they are available for checkout in all of our on our brick and mortar sites. So we want to give people access to not only to the physical books, but also to our digital resources as much as we can as we go out, and at least to show them what's there in any case. So yeah.
Absolutely. And just so people know, we do have a content creator cafe here at the Public Access Studio once a month. In fact, it's today at 2 o'clock, which is the third Wednesday of the month, or we meet from 2 to 5. And even though we say we're a content creator cafe, if somebody wants to come down and get some help putting a Facebook page together or get some help putting a website together, if we can help you, we will. If we don't know the answer, we'll try to find it. And the only caveat to that is that if you come down and ask for my help, I'm probably going to make you watch something that I've done and ask you to give me feedback on it. Because when I find out here, I have my own business, and so I'm creating things, and mostly videos. But there are times when I go, well, I wonder if I should put a background on this, or should I have cut this here instead of there?
That's good.
So
you're double purposing there, showing them what can be done and getting help as well.
Exactly. So there's no free lunch. Happy to help, but you're probably going to have to help me too.
Exactly. That's great.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
So, and in fact, I think the classes online are really interesting, and I think they're very helpful. But if you have the person that doesn't know how to get online in the first place, then maybe they need to come here first, and we can show them how to access all of your wonderful programs, or they can go to the library and you can show them how to access all your wonderful programs. Yeah.
Yeah. One other thing we have that we've been really blessed because the state library also likes rural libraries because they realize that they're meeting this, the equity, diversity, inclusion aspect of life by including the rural folks. So we've gotten some really good grants, and we did get a grant for some Chromebooks, so we do actually have some for checkout, but we also have something called a connectivity kit, which is a Chromebook with a hotspot.
Oh, my
So if
goodness.
someone doesn't have Wi-Fi, and they live, now you do have to live in the area that you can pick it up. It does not
Sure.
magic, but it's through Verizon. So Verizon has really good coverage throughout the county. So those are check-outable, and so even people without Wi-Fi can use some of our our digital resources.
That is amazing.
Yeah, it's really great.
Yeah. And I am also really impressed with the fact that I can go online and find a book that I can't get from the local library, but you can. I just got one actually about a month ago. I'm doing a project putting images to a soundtrack for Angels Camp Museum. And I went on the library and I was able to find a book that I couldn't get here locally, but you guys got it in for me, and it was wonderful.
This Link Plus is just phenomenal. We're connected to about 70 library systems throughout the county, have access to millions of things. So almost anything that you want to find, we can help you get it. And we have daily delivery at our library, and then we deliver twice weekly out to the branches. So you'll get your stuff really fast, and it's an amazing thing. We're so pleased to have that.
It is amazing, because I do think it took 2 days and I was able to get my book, and then I had to keep it for an extra 2 weeks because I didn't get around to scanning the pages that I wanted to.
We have great staff who works with that program at our library. Elle, if you ever have a problem, you just call and ask for Elle, and she is just bends over backwards serving our patrons in that service. So she'll help you if you keep a book too long and so forth. She'll help you figure all that out. So she's great.
Yeah, I just heard on the news today some library got a book back. It was 40 years overdue.
Oh,
I think the fine was going to be like $327 or something, but it was
we have a $5 limit to top fine. But we got one through the mail from another library system. They mailed it to us, and it was in our system as lost, but there it was.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, I think this library had a limit of $8, and of course it was already out of their system, and they weren't going to try to charge anybody at this point.
But if they'd been calculating.
Exactly. It was pretty funny.
Right.
Apparently it was in a box somewhere, and somebody just found it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
So what are the library hours? Do you know them off the top of your head?
Pretty much. San Andreas, we're open. We're closed Monday and Wednesday mornings. We're closed Monday morning just because we had planned to do some children's programming, which we're not actually doing on Mondays, but it's kind of nice to just not have people in that first little bit of the week. So we're keeping that. Wednesday morning is our children's program. So we really like to just have children in there because they're a little noisy and they bother other patrons. So, but every other day of the week we're open 10 to 5, and then on Saturdays 10 to 4.
Oh, and I'm so excited you got that Saturday opening again. That's nice.
Yeah. I was too. We really need to do it. And so then most of our branches are closed on Monday. But Valley Springs and West Point are not, because they're the schools, and we need all the hours we can get, for our staff and for our communities. So they're both open in the afternoons on Mondays. All of our other sites except Moke Hill are open Tuesday through Friday. Murphy's is open on Saturdays, and Arnold is open on Saturdays, 10 to 4. So, and Murphy's is 11 to 5.
Okay.
Yeah, they sleep a little later in Murphy's.
I see. Well, they got to shovel snow first.
Yeah, exactly. This year, right?
Yeah.
Moke Hill is open Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Because of some other community things that are going on in that building, but it's usually 10 to 4.
Okay.
But as I said, Murphy's is 11 to 5, but everyone else is 10 to 4.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think Valley Springs is 1 to 5, and West Point is 2 to 5 every day.
Okay. And I do love the McCullum Hill Library. I think
It's so darling.
it really is. And I like the fact that you can go and get a book that's outside the library, and you can bring books
Yes,
and
yes,
donate them, and you can
yes.
take a few when you leave. And I
Right.
just love the concept of the little outside hours lending library.
Well, they have their book sale books outside, which it does make them age faster, but you're right, they're available 24/7. And in most of our libraries, let me think: San Andreas Angels Camp, Copper, Arnold, Murphy's, I guess all of them. Valley Springs is starting up again. We said Valley Springs and West Point they haven't had, but we have a book sale. I mean, the Friends of the Library do book sales, so there are books all the time, used books for people to buy really, really cheaply. So if you're worried about checking something out and maybe losing it or something, there are books you can pick up for free. And we also have what we call honor books, which are books that are, maybe we have multiple copies of something, but there's no time limit on those. And if you lose them, we don't care. We have lots more where that came from. So honor books and book sale rooms are another way that people can get books. Yeah, and videos and DVDs and audio materials.
That's what I was going to say. I have picked up before I got my. Well, it doesn't matter, but
Whatever.
I've gone beyond the technology. But I have bought so many DVDs, audiobooks on DVD from the book sale, because I used to be in outside sales, and then I would drive down the road and listen to my book. And if there was a traffic jam, I didn't get all wound up and stressed because I'm listening to my book, so I didn't feel like I'm just sitting there wasting time. But shoot, those stinking books were $25, $30 if I bought them new, and I could go to the library down to the book sale and, for $1, I could get a new book. And
we still have them for checkout too, because a lot of people still use their disc in their cars. So we've got lots of audiobooks, and we get new ones because they're still very heavily used.
Sure. Well, in any place in the county that you don't have a really good internet connection,
exactly,
you're probably still going to want a DVD for a movie or a disc for a book, because you're not
going to be connected all the time.
Exactly.
Audible or whatever.
Exactly, and you're not using up your data.
Exactly. Well, that's
when you don't have to. I mean, because that can get really pricey as well.
Exactly.
All right.
Good.
So I am curious what we haven't talked about that we should be talking about right now.
Well, we haven't talked a lot about books. We got lots and lots of books. And I think, another service that we haven't talked about is the Zip book, which is also on our website. If you open our website, at the top of the site is a link called Requests. And there you put in the author, the title of any book that you would like us to get. We have, State Library, wonderful grant from them called Zip Books. And if we are able to purchase the book that you want through Zip, then you don't come to the library to get it. It will be purchased by us.
Okay.
And it will come to you in the mail through Amazon.
All right.
And in the book, there will be a little slip that says, this is a gift or this comes to you from the Calaveras County Library. Please, when you're done with it, return it to the library. So you get it as quickly as Amazon can deliver it. And you read it, and then you bring it back, and we process it, and it becomes part of our collection.
Oh, that is amazing.
Wonderful, wonderful thing. So we get a grant from the State Library for that every year. But then the Friends of the Library love it so much, they always tell me, if I run out of money in that, please tell them, and they'll put more in, because people really love it. I mean, you just can get. And I even if it's not something we can get on Zip, there is a price limit. It's $35. It can't cost more than $35, but we can get audiobooks also. I'll just put that in. So sometimes we can get audiobooks for that price. We cannot buy bestseller fiction through the Zip book program, because they know we're going to be buying bestseller fiction to add to our collection. So it's not meant as an acquisition service. It's to give people what they want to read, which is how I look at it and love it for that. So if you have a request and we can't get it on Zip, 99% of the time I'll go ahead and just order it for the library because I love patron-driven acquisitions. I just think that's the way to go in a place like this because you're sure that what you're buying someone is going to read, and probably more than one. So we haven't talked also about book clubs. Now there are book clubs in several of our branches, and if anyone is interested in book clubs, they should contact their branch. In their area. We don't have one right now in San Andreas. After COVID, they're kind of starting back up. But we would love to have one. And we have large collections of books that have been, some of them are classics, some of them are relatively new. We would buy like 12 copies of a book so that a book club group could use that book in their book club. So you can check those out from the library. So
I've never been involved in a book club. The only knowledge I have of them is what I see on TV, and it's usually some sitcom, and it ends up being kind of goofy. So what happens at a book club?
Well, you have an organizational meeting, and you decide together or decide how you're going to pick your books.
Okay.
Sometimes there's a leader. In San Andreas, we had a leader who wanted to pick all the books, so everyone in the group kind of went along with that.
Okay.
Normally, what happens is that you take turns, and you would have your chance to pick the book for the group that would be something that you would like. And so often you get a chance to read really different genre because this person likes that and that, which I really like that because it helps me diversify and not just read a mystery every time. And then you all read the book, and then the person who selected the book creates some questions or some, things that you could discuss about the book, and you dig into the characters, you dig into the plot, what was good, what was not good, you look at the technique of the writer and all of that. It's really good. I really enjoy it. It does take time, and there were some times when I have to admit the book that was selected was not something I would have read, and I felt being the type that I am, I always read the book.
Right.
So I would think, I don't want to read this. I'd much rather be reading this other thing on my nightstand over here. That does happen sometimes. But to me, the value of it was, I read something that I never would have read. And that's good experience.
And I've decided I'll never read it again.
Well, yes, sometimes.
Or you might find out that now this is something that you like, and you'll go on to get more.
Dystopian, for example. That's not a huge genre that I like, but I've read some that I thought, that was really great. That was very interesting. So, it wouldn't be my first choice probably, but if someone recommended one to me, I would probably read it based on having read one or two.
Yeah, and that really helps me because I tend to stick with the same author and the same genre over and over and over again. Mm-hmm. But I have a friend that I bought her a tablet. I bought 2 tablets, one for her and one for I, because we used to be able to share our audiobooks, and they stopped us from doing it. So then I set up a tablet for her that has me on it, and I set up one for myself that has her on it. So I have access to her books. She has access to mine. Nice. And there are a lot of books that she picks out that I would never try. Mm-hmm. And because they're sitting there in her library, I can go ahead and listen to them. And I have found some fantastic authors that I just wouldn't try because I'm so stuck in my little rut.
We tend to do that.
So how do you find that people are still, I really love books. Mm-hmm. I like to hold them and read them, but I am finding as I get older that, for example, I don't read in bed anymore because now I have to have my glasses and it hurts when I have my head on the pillow. And, before I might fall asleep reading a book.
Sure.
Now I got those stupid glasses, so I can read sitting up. Mm-hmm. But I have tended to go to more digital books.
You can make the print bigger.
Yeah, that's true too. Well, I don't read the digital books. I listen. I've gone more to listening than reading.
Yeah. No, that's great.
And I think I'm missing out on not reading, though.
We have a subscription and a very intentional acquisition of large print books.
Okay.
And I try really hard to get genre that I think people. We have a subscription to westerns. We have a subscription to mysteries. So we get a couple of new books every month.
Okay.
In those genre. And then I have a couple of sources, and one that I'm ordering from. I have a little order sheet in my box that I need to finish. Has Louise Penny.
I love her.
Really, really good authors. Who our patrons love, and so to have it in large print. Some people said, "Oh, I accidentally checked out this large print one, but I actually liked it." Because it's easy. At night with limited light or so forth, you can read more easily. So we do have those, but the digital is It's interesting because there are people who like, "Oh, I don't like digital," or I've gone to digital and I really like, so I mean, they're both. We have many, thousands of checkouts of books a month. So people are still reading physical books. And the data shows that at the beginning of digital, there was a huge increase in digital and a decline in books, but now it's righted itself. And, there are preferences now, which do you prefer? I think the advantage of the digital is that, and someone told me this last week, I'm learning to like it because I can make the print as large as I need to make it, which is a definite advantage. As far as listening is concerned, yes, a lot of people are doing that, but we do have that. The Hoopla does have audiobooks as well as Overdrive. We haven't talked about Overdrive. Now, Overdrive is changing its name to Libby, so don't freak out about that. You'll get the Libby app, and it has audiobooks. And we get the Libby app through our, we are part of a consortium.
Okay.
So we don't own the books. The consortium owns the books. So there is someone who selects and, watches when they're expiring and all of that kind of thing and takes care of that for us. But we pay $5,000 a year for that Libby app. And patrons, it's unlimited access. The problem with Libby is that it's one use per patron. One patron, one use. So you'll probably have to join a list for some of the more popular titles, whereas Hoopla is multiple users. So, if you can find it on Hoopla, that's great. If you can't, you can go to Libby. So those are free with your library card as well.
Okay.
And that's on. When you go to our website, we have Catalog Plus, which is the book catalog, but that has all the links to all of these resources. So you can just link right from there or go to the resources.
Okay. And in the summertime, you can even get a free lunch.
If
you're a kid.
I want to say, I'm sorry, we're not doing the lunch at the library this summer.
Oh, that's too bad.
I know, I'm brokenhearted about it, but this is what happened. During COVID, Congress relaxed the requirements because this is school lunch.
Sure.
And school lunch, as you know, has to be consumed on site in the cafeteria. You don't take food out. Well, technically, that's what it's supposed to be at the library as well. But for 2.5 years, we were given the liberty of having grab and go. Well, we gave away 9,000 lunches over the 3 years that we were able to do that. But halfway through last summer, it ended. In July, we could no longer do grab and go. So we tried to offer a program and lunch, but you see, for me, the purpose always, Susan, was meeting the food insecurity needs of our families and children in the county. Well, this now required a parent to bring the child to the library, to stay with them, have them have a program and have their lunch, and then where our libraries are located. They're not located in housing areas. They're destinations, is what I say. And so, we just didn't. We gave away like 2,100 lunches in the first 3 weeks of last summer, and 291 in the last 3 weeks of it.
Oh, that's
so we just said it's tons of work. It's really labor intensive, and we just said we're not meeting. The people who came were the normal kids who come to all of our programming, who come with a parent who can bring them. So we're so sad. I've written to everybody I know how to write. Let it be grab and go, because that meets the needs of rural, which I totally believe that it does. But yeah, they don't want anybody who's not supposed to get that lunch to have it. So
Well,
anyway, whatever.
Government, what can you say?
I know. I'm really sad, but we just decided we're not meeting the purpose of the
Sure.
program in.
Well, and there's got to be a lot of waste if you went from 2,100 to 293. I mean, so
It's just terrible.
Yeah.
But we'll do some things. We give a book and an activity every week through the summer reading program. So we have some plans, and we're going to have programming going on in the library. So we have some plans to at least provide something for those days for our children. But it's not going to be the same.
No, that's too bad.
I know.
But, one thing I have been contemplating over the last few years is, I'll have my Audible books. I put them on my phone. I put my phone in my back pocket. I go out and clean the rabbit trays, or I clean the house, and it just makes my chores a lot more pleasant.
Absolutely.
In fact, I will keep cleaning out in the rabbit tree longer
Finish the chapter.
Exactly, because I'm so interested in listening to the book.
Yeah.
But the part that I'm finding that I feel like I'm crippling myself in a certain aspect is that darn smartphone made me get into a mindset, I guess, where I no longer sit quietly with my own thoughts. And it's something that I'm deliberately trying to do now, is to turn off the phone, turn off the TV, turn off the music, go back to having a quiet environment that my thoughts are what I'm contemplating. And I kind of feel like that's what I lose when I don't have an actual book and read it, is that I have quite a vivid imagination. So if I'm reading the book, I think I visualize everything better than if I'm listening to the book.
That's really, really a good observation. Because I myself, when I think of one night a week, my husband has an activity, so he gets a fire ready, during the winter, gets fire ready for me, and I go home, I know he's not there. I go home from work, he's not there, so I get my books and I sit by the fire and I read them.
That is nice.
Because it's just such a great wind down after a day's work. The thing I miss about it, Susan, is that if I think, now, who is that character? I can't just whip back a few pages and look at it.
Exactly, yeah.
How do I find that out, and to kind of read, now, what did that person say about that? I'd love to do that, because I'm like you, I'm sort of a contemplative reader. I like to think about what I'm reading, and I like to look for authors that really can put a sentence together, and I like to reread those sentences, because I just love language and how it works to convey ideas. So, yeah, there are lovely advantages. Yeah, you can listen to a book while you're cleaning the rabbit hutch, but you can't think about it as much. Yeah, that's a very, very good point.
No, and I think you're absolutely right. When you get a book that has one that I was listening to had 3 different sets of characters in 3 different locations. And oh my goodness, I was like,
and 2 of them started with the same letter.
Yeah.
Brian and Brent. Now, which one was it?
Exactly. So, yeah, it gets a little confusing sometimes. It's definitely a skill to listen to a book instead of read one.
No, you're right. It's a completely different skill set.
It is.
Yeah. That's a really good observation.
So, I'll tell you a story. Because I've driven and listened to books so long that I feel like I really did develop a skill to listen and do something else at the same time. In fact, sometimes I focus better if my hands are doing something.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So I was in the CERT group, and we were doing a training, and I asked the fire chief, a question, and he answered it. And as he's answering it, I'm still working on, I guess we were swapping out the SBC air valve things, which, I know I butchered that. But anyway, so it was, and he got done speaking, and he looked at me, you asked me a question, and then you didn't listen. what did I just say? And I repeated for him everything he just said, and he just looked at me and went,
So you're a kinesthetic learner. You need to be doing something when you learn. That's a type of learner. So.
I do, but you know what it taught me is that it never occurred to me that what I was doing was being perceived as not listening.
Oh, as not paying attention. Oh,
yeah, so it was actually, it was actually
a two-way street.
It was, and it was good on both our parts. He
Exactly.
learned that some people can listen and do things at the same time, and I have been very conscious ever since then about how I pay attention to people so they know I'm paying attention to them.
Perception, yeah.
Exactly.
Very important. Yeah,
exactly.
Sure.
So I know that's not on the library topic, but here we are.
Good. Yeah, very good. And I mean, it is. And I mean, all of it's about learning. And so we all learn in different ways. Some people want the audio. Some people want the visual. Some people want a book in their hand.
Exactly.
Or an activity, so.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So any future plans for the library that you want to share today?
Oh, golly. We are getting two new digital things that we're very excited about. One is called a community engagement platform through our database. So if there's a craft program, for example, that's for adults, we can create from our database, from our card registrations, we can create them and send an email blast to all of the people who might be interested in that activity. So that's going to really boost our programming because marketing is such a challenge.
Oh, it is.
And then the second thing we're getting is called the Niche Academy. And what that is a resource where we won't have to create much of the content. It's already created, like how to use LinkedIn Learning. There's a little module, and so you flip onto that, and it's a 3-minute, 4-minute explanation of what you do to get into LinkedIn Learning. So how to set up a Facebook page, how to create a Google Doc, all of these things will be right there. And so there'll be a link on our website for that instruction. So in addition to our workforce, digital resources and the senior and veterans resources that we have, we'll have that as well. It'll be just a quick learn. So those are going to be fun.
Oh, I think that is amazing. Well, I think we're about out of time. So thank you very much for coming on today and sharing all the wonderful programs the library has. I'm even more impressed than I started out. And I've got lots of things I got to go look at now.
Okay, come on over.
So thanks everybody for listening today, and look out for our next Senior Moments podcast, which should be coming up in another week or so.